Well, how's it going, everyone? Today, I am fortunate to have one of my the reasons why I wanted to be a hero is because this man right here with us today, Matthias Hues, always portrayed the villain in all of my favorite movies, whether it's like Come in Peace,
Oh, thank you,
Poetry,
John.
Predator 2, Talons of an Eagle, Bounty Tracker. And so, Matthias, it's great to have you on here.
Thank you, John. Very much that you reached out for this podcast. I'm very honored. And we just, before we started recording, talked a bit about you, and I'm very impressed with your history and what you've experienced in your life. So it's interesting that we talk because a lot of it that you probably have experienced in real life, we try to reenact in movies. Uh, I'm not a real uh, Russian soldier, or I'm nothing real. We just actors playing roles and having to learn from real people, maybe like people like you. If you would like, what was that movie, Taking Down the White House, with
White House Down and Angel Has Fallen.
yes, that
Yep.
was a wonderful movie, and it's people like you that have been there, and it would be people like me to want to learn from you if I would ever be in a movie, be the bad guy attacking the White House, right?
Right.
So that's really cool that we talk.
No,
Uh,
it's so
Thanks for having me.
let's kind of jump into it. When you get these movie roles, whether it's now obviously you have a background in Taekwondo, kickboxing, your health, fitness, it's all great. But when it comes to like the weapons or certain languages or certain cultures, you must have to immerse yourself, right, to be believable.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to have an open mind. You can't be close-minded. And if you're an actor, it's all about being willing to be molded in someone that you are not. And I noticed it when I first came to Hollywood. A lot of people wanted to be actors, especially women, but they weren't willing to be anyone but themselves. You have to learn to become other people. If someone tells you to do something or to learn something, you have to be willing and very open to it. In some cases, it's ridiculous. These are things that you would never do in real life, and suddenly you're confronted with that. Also, different cultures. You have to adapt to cultures. We travel all the time. I've been literally not all around the world, but in a lot of parts of different type of environments around the world, shooting and promoting movies. And yeah, wow, the world is very different from what we know in America. Yeah.
So when you if you're given a role and you're the villain, we'll say you're the villain, how is there aspects of a certain character where you kind of tell a director or the stunt guy or producer, hey, let's do this because this is more believable? Because even in your most outrageous roles, whether it's I Come in Peace or Digital Man,
Hmm.
there you bring a sense of empathy and human to that character, even if they could be the most vile person on earth.
Right.
You make them believable in their vileness. So do you ever have to say, be like, hey, I'll be the bad guy, but let's do this way?
I would say as higher the level, as more sophisticated the film, the writers, the people that work on it, and the directors, as less you have to talk about it. Anything on a lower B or C level, people exaggerate terribly, as well as directors asking you to do things that I don't believe any bad guy would ever do. I have been traveling, like I said, extensively, and on my travels, I met a lot of real bad guys that are attracted to people like me, so they open up their doors, maybe motorcycle people, gangs or something, local heavy hitters, and all of them are extremely charming, kind, gentle. You would never know, family oriented, love animals, that there would be any sort of a bad guy in it. And that is sort of what I learned from. You don't see it coming. You never see it coming. And I have a friend that is Russian, Alexander Nevsky, a big movie star in Russia. He told me too, he was there during the 90s when Soviet Union fell, and it was taken over by bad people. And he said that you would never ever, that they would never yell or scream. It'd be a last kiss, and then you don't even know the knife is entering you from behind. It's that kind of gentleman like. Uh, we're not talking about street thugs. We're talking about bad guy people that we see in movies. The big sheep, the big guys, or even the henchmen. I mean, I've never ever met a dangerous guy that talks a lot.
Right, right. Just in the shadows, you know he's bad, but you don't know what he's
Yeah.
capable of.
Yeah, they keep it to themselves, and it's not usually it's not the biggest guy. It's just someone that knows how to do it. Boom. And if you're a martial artist, and I'm sure you are, and you've been in the Secret Service and you know about weapons, you don't have time to talk. I guess you just do it.
Right. You just
You know?
stop the situation and move on.
Yeah, yeah,
One of my questions actually was about Alexander because I've
yeah,
watched
oh,
it on Prime because I watched Showdown Manila and
yeah.
Maximum Impact, and
Mhm.
I've noticed that you work with people now that you really like working with, whether it's Don the Dragon, Olivier, Cynthia Rothrock,
Yeah, yeah.
Mark, and so when it's today's action climate, do you find yourself kind of like when you watch movies today, it seems like all the guys are smaller or faster. It's different, like high paced. Where do you see like the action genre now? Because right now, outside Alexander, I don't see a lot of big guys
Yeah.
like you in the industry right now acting like that, playing that character.
Yeah, I just actually posted something on Instagram, having had a picture from TC 2000 where I was fighting Bolo Yeung. We were all muscled out, and then asking my my fans out there, who else do you know right now fitting that type of profile? And surprisingly, not many answers. You know, there's The Rock. Quite frankly, he's above the grain anyway. Uh, J. Michael White,
Yep.
Alexander Nevsky, uh, possibly Chris Hemsworth training for the Hulk. And
Yep.
let's not underestimate that, because if he really is portraying the Hulk, the physicality that he has to bring to it and the athletic abilities have to be out of this world. I went to wrestling school and I did a wrestling movie. It is not easy to be a wrestler. So he might be one to look at in that particular genre. But he's an actor's actor who slips into roles and then goes back to where he came from.
Right.
Just a good-looking athletic guy, you know. So yes, the trend these days, we'll take an actor, we'll train him, we'll make him looking good, and then we put him in Captain America or whatever, right?
Right.
I don't think people appreciate it. Keanu Reeves is someone that we love because he's Keanu Reeves, but people Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, I mean, it speaks for itself. We all grew up with it, right? So that motivated millions of people to go to the gym, including myself.
Right.
So I wish they would still have that, quite frankly, you know.
Yeah, I miss. I watch Pumping Iron probably every 3 months, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
into the working, like the heavy lifting. Like I'll do what I have to do to stay healthy and fit and not be sore in
Mhm.
the morning. But there is something, and I think more so now with COVID, with the gyms and stuff being shut down and people kind of losing that whatever.
Right.
It, I wish I grew up back in the day when they'd had those martial arts
Yeah.
fights up on the beach in Redondo, where the Gold's Gym, like you hear all these stories and people like yourself talking about the glory days. It's like, do you think that will ever come back?
No, no, I don't think so. Uh, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think none of us knows what's going to happen. I'm at times I'm a very positive person like you too. I can see you adjusting to the times. You're doing whatever it takes to communicate. You out there. I'm trying to do the same. I'm a bit worried about the loss of the lifestyle that we have had, and that was the lifestyle in California, for instance. It's unbelievable. I mean, beaches, always good weather, and you have Gold's Gym. And around Gold's Gym, there are all these coffee shops and bodybuilding food sources like Firehouse, where at any given time, any day, you see Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, uh, Carl Weathers, the Hulk, The Rock, uh, myself, all of us there eating, training. At any given day, you walk in there, and that atmosphere has given me so much joy and energy and power to want to be part of these guys. Without that, I would have never made it, because you see it. You see that guy, though. You see, like I see Van Damme, and you know, it motivates you. You see The
Right.
Rock walking in, and you measure yourself. You know, like other people, everyone measures themselves with each other. You know, but in our small world, Everyone is complementary to the next. So I, over 30 years, I had seen so many big guys, bigger than me, bigger or whatever, come up to me and say, I saw you when I was 12 years old, and I come in peace, and I want to be like this. And next thing you know, they're in the movies. Like Andrew Banowski is one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, for instance, he was one of the first who did, hey, you know, and I was like, oh, this guy's big. There's so many, and he made it, and quite a few others made it. John Cena made it. You know, he was picking up weights just
Yep.
like me, like all of us picking weights. We rack them for 375 an hour, maybe. Uh, that that is gone for now.
Now, when COVID hit, what was your mindset when COVID hit? When everything started shut down, like the whole year of 2020, where were you at mentally at the beginning, and how did you kind of figure out that, hey, this is tough right now, but I need to be creative and still maintain the level of health and fitness I'm used to?
Yeah. Well, I kind of cheated because I don't. Uh, I live on an island in Bali,
Yeah,
so yeah. So it's kind of so when all that hit, I was there, and I have a gym in the house, and I only go swimming, and it's like I live like Tarzan, so to speak. Don't wear clothes. My girlfriend is Jane. You have a monkey and all that. So we out all day long, and then next thing you know, we hear there's a crisis, and it took us 8 months to realize it's for real because we still work out. I never wore a mask. We live on a mountaintop alone. We don't meet anybody. And then first time we drove into the city, I realized, oh, something changed the mask, and they made me put on the mask. And then I thought, I can't do this. You know, I don't know if I ever can be cut out for that type of lifestyle. And then I had to leave to go back to America for some work. And I knew that if I leave Bali, I won't be able to go back there. I just know it. Who knows for how long? And the moment I landed, I felt like, oh, this is for real. And I still didn't want to accept it. And I didn't wear a mask on the street. And people saw me, they grabbed their kids and ran on the other side of the sidewalk. And I thought, oh, it is real. This is not like a movie. This is like in a sci-fi movie. This has become reality. And then it took me 3 months to get used to it. And now I'm not used to it, but I adjusted to it like probably everyone else. You know, I work out in the gym with a mask, can barely breathe, but I'm so grateful. I moved to Las Vegas just so I can go work out. In Los Angeles, everything is closed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's Have you always been big into the healthy and fitness? Like growing up at a young age, were you always the athlete, or is this
Yeah.
something as you started getting bigger and growing? Hey, there's something to this.
No, I was always the athlete because I didn't think I couldn't concentrate in school. And I got introduced to pentathlon, decathlon really early on. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. And we'll see what happens from there. And then I realized that's a full-time job. It takes 7 days a week. Every weekend is competition. And then that becomes your life. And then you realize you have a good life. Competition is a good life, you know. But you don't know how to make a living yet at that point. Then you have to go to the army. And once you're in the army, you usually get sidetracked into other things. But I didn't. I kept training. And then when I came out, that's when I got sidetracked. I had to get a job
Right.
because there's no money in Europe unless you're world champion. I wasn't world champion. So I went into the hotel business, but I kept training and I thought one day, just one day, I don't know how this is going to pay off for me because I got bigger, more noticeable. And I noticed when I was a waiter in Paris at these hotels that a lot of these clientele wanted to get to know me personally and invited me out. And next thing you know, I wasn't working there anymore. And I thought, I'll just open up a gym. So I opened up a gym in Germany with the Jane Fonda craze, you know, and that for women only. That was a huge success, and I could work out and was making
Right.
money now, you know. And but I was always a fan of course, Arnold, California Lifestyle, Magnum PI, Sun, Beach, Muscles. Everything is possible if you just put your mind to it. You can be anybody you want to be. I totally believe it. And it was possible in the 80s or 90s, you know. So before you know it, I was in America.
One of the interesting things, and we'll talk about your book too, Shirtless in Hollywood, is that when you first got starred in No Retreat, No Surrender 2,
Mhm.
it's kind of by luck. And
Right,
I'm a firm believer that if you do the hard work and put your time in, the karma and good stuff will come your way. But there also is that split second of luck where it's like if you're at the right place at the right time.
right.
Now, kind of talk about that, how like before that call came in, you were not doing anything in the movies.
No, no, I'm not even an actor. I mean, I couldn't even speak English. It's just you have that dream, and then, like you said, you're gonna have to do something about it. So the moment you go to LA, you land there, the first thing you have to do is survive. You got to get a job, a place to stay, a place to train, and then you ask around. So what's going on? Where are all the movie stars? Where is there an agent in town? How do I get into the movies? And everyone always tells you the same. Well, you're gonna have to be seen in the nightclubs. You're gonna have to get a job at a doorman. So you get to know the people that go into the nightclub, and you got to stand out, and then you got to get a headshot, and then you got to go get an agent, and then you have to have a monologue prepared, and you got to get a manager, and it's so much because you don't speak the language, you don't have a green card, you're illegal, but you kind of start out doing all these things. You get a headshot, you get a job as a doorman, you get to know people, and then someone says, "Oh, tomorrow there's an audition for Sylvester Stallone movie Over the Top," and you don't have an agent or anything. It's like, "Where is it? Oh, it's a Culver City Studios, 11. Just be there." So you're there. You
Right.
just wait there with all the other big guys. Wait your turn. Fake that you haven't. You fake it. Everything. Social security number. Everything fake. And you only get so far, of course. But that's how you start doing it. And I got tossed out there many times, places, or they said next. you know.
Now you also did bodyguard work for Bob Marley's
Yeah,
wife.
Ziggy
And so,
Marley.
so how did that come about?
Well, because you have to have a job, and then there was this really rich, crazy man who owned all these motels, and these were those 1 hour drug hooker hotels, motels in
Yeah.
Hollywood and everywhere. And my job was to collect money for the people that wouldn't pay and then toss them out if they don't pay, and to stop drug dealing and prostitution. And stupid job. But my partner was like, I don't know, he was ex-police, but he was in the security business. So he was carrying guns and everything, and he needed a muscle, so he hired me. And he was an African American. He was like my idol, he was like the real deal. And I was so green. And I learned from him. And then he said, "Oh, I got a much better job for us. Uh, a real bodyguard, 5 star.
Right.
And turned out to be Ziggy Marley and his mom and all the kids. And that was amazing because this family is so nice. And it's Ziggy Marley, Bob Marley. I mean, he's just like his dad, right? He looks like his dad. He sings like his dad. His concerts are sold out. And they are so, I mean, first they were kind of put off. I felt that I'm not African American because I was blonde and German. And they looked at me like, why would you? And then in the end, it was working in my favor because I was different. I was kind of standing out, and we became like really close. And they asked me to move to Jamaica, but I said, I want to be an actor. And they said, "Oh, no, no, you must follow your dream. Stay in that line." And I did. But it's wonderful to have been exposed to that music, to the culture, the generosity of the Bob Marley family is, wow, treated me really well.
And the
I
work
did,
ethic too must be something to really
yeah,
appreciate too, because they're hardworking.
yeah. I mean, it's not just smoking ganjas. The
Yeah.
professional musicians on every level. They did concert tours. This is just amazing. All sold out. Yeah, through them, I was a nobody, never seen the world, and then you could suddenly in 5 star places, in limos and
Yep.
nice hotels. You know it. I mean, it's not me being there. It's just being there being their bodyguard. But that's something you can't buy later on. It was a taste of what fame would be,
Right.
and I liked it.
Now, would you first? One of the cool stories you have is you actually in a gangland shooting, and so how does that kind of? You first get to LA and you're kind of like, what the hell is this? Like,
I don't know.
how do you break that down in your head to be like, this is the place I still want to be at?
Yeah, but it's so normal in LA.
Which is scary.
Yeah, it's really normal, but it's like you can't evade it. It's just if you work there, you're gonna sooner or later fall victim to random crime, you know. Like it's so interesting when Venice in 1980, Gold's Gym was in the most dangerous area of Los Angeles. And from there out to Hawthorne and Torrance, that was a no-go zone for and if you're not a criminal, don't go there. So, but I had a girlfriend in that area, and she was white, and she was like protected by all the gangs. So I frequently went in there, and it's not as bad if you're part of it.
Right.
Is if you're an outside, if you're a cop driving through, you would have gotten beat up or chased out. You know, you have no business being there. But the community in itself is also a community, believe it or not. And when I was really known in the 90s, end of early 2090s, I was really known because then all these films came out and every gangster saw it. I could go in any place in downtown safe. All gangs would just want to hang out with me, you know, and I was allowed to be there. Now I would get killed. People don't remember anymore. But that was so funny. I was like, wow, I'm just an actor, but they think I'm the real deal or something, you know, and this was really cool. I never had to be afraid of getting killed back then. Now I would get killed too if I'm at the wrong place at the wrong time because these people don't know me anymore.
Right.
That is that generation. That's like 20 years ago. It's literally, it's unbelievable. Your generation, my generation. So basically, how old are you? Just about?
I'm 35.
So you're 35. So you're like one of the last people that still knows me. If you go to the 20-year-olds and younger, they will know who we are. They don't even know Van Damme.
Which is weird because I obviously I love the movies and
Yeah.
I collect VHS. So
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
and so
Oh,
I remember the best part of growing up when your mom or dad would drop you to a rental store would be like, hey, go get a movie.
yeah.
Make sure it's clean cut. Like I grew up on Predator,
Yeah.
RoboCop,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but I would go to the the rental places and watch. Oh, there's Dawn the Dragon. There's Lorenzo Lamas. There's Loren
Yeah.
Avedon, Gary Daniel. And so I started like going out of my way to really find, like, really appreciate these people. And the one common core out of all these movies is that you fought all my favorite people growing up, and in turn,
That's funny.
become one of my favorite martial artists.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so amazing to hear. And that's so interesting that you say that. You're literally one of the last ones who uh, went to Blockbuster, I assume, or whatever video neighborhood store you had. Me too. Yeah. That was part of my favorite thing was to go to Blockbuster and to see who's out there. And then there's this film of Van Damme or Dolph or whatever, or anybody that I like, and it's already gone. And then you run to the front and you say, "Oh, is there anything you can do? Let me see if it just came back to you, or hold it, or I think I get it in 2 hours." You know. And I also did this. I have to be honest. This is so funny. So I went, looked everywhere, and then I saw, oh, Digital Man is down there. So I put it back up and, put it from the lower shelf in the better looking shelf or something. And I thought, this is so freaky. This is so cool because this is like hands-on, watching movies. And now, quite frankly, I'm watching Netflix like anyone else and Amazon, I guess. And I'm almost not so satisfied anymore because there's like 1,000 films and I don't know these people anymore. I know a few, but most of them, they're from all good movies, no doubt, but from all around the world. There's no more iconic figures that I'm after. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like I used to be a Steven Seagal fan,
Yep.
Jason Statham, The Rock, and this and that, but it gets less and less.
Like right now for me, like Scott Atkins is great.
Yeah,
Uh,
he always delivers.
Marco Devore, I believe.
Yeah.
Cug Lee. I mean, there's people like that, but they again after that, there's no one distinct out there. Like I grew up watching the
No.
Chicago Bulls when I was a kid. Dennis Rodman, these colorful characters, these personas. I think
Right.
lacking right now, not only in sports but entertainment too. Because now anyone can be the bad guy or bad girl in movies, and I don't know
It's
if
unbelievable.
I
Yeah,
don't know if I like that.
I don't like it. It's like Instagram. Uh,
Right.
it's too much. And there's too many good-looking girls, too many good-looking guys with muscles and six. It's just, I can't see it anymore. And that means nothing. And let me tell you, this is so interesting. And because you were asking me if it's ever going to come back, the reason it was like that, before social media, there was Hollywood. And you had to physically go to Hollywood. And you had to get an agent. And everyone in town knew the next guy or the next girl in their bracket. I knew every single big guy over 6'5" with muscles that can fight. And Jean-Claude Van Damme knew every single other Jean-Claude Van Damme clone in town. We all know each other. Every single person. We walk in a room and we're all sitting there and we all know, okay, here we are. Let's see who gets this, you know. And that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. I mean, I had so many friends, but they're like clones of me. Uh, One of us from Chippendales. He did quite a lot of movies with long blonde hair. Darren McBean.
Oh, Malibu and American Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's like a typical example. So take him times 10 people, maybe, were in town, dark
Yep.
hair, blonde hair, in that with that physicality, you know, many from Chippendales and what, sitting there, and we're all sitting there like, oh shit, you again, okay, you again. Let's see who gets it, right? So that's missing now. I don't meet anybody anymore. For one, it's coronavirus.
Right. But
You
there's
know.
also not a lot of people that could still do what you did or even do now. Like you haven't.
Oh
You,
yeah.
you say you're older, but you don't look any different than you would have. I don't think.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I just built my body back up recently, so I'm back to the exact same muscle and weight as I was in 1997. Because the reason I did that, I walked in Bali on the beach, and then these fisher people came up and said, "Oh, we've been watching you for the last couple of days, and we were saying you must have been really big at one time." And I thought, "Oh my God, at one time, that doesn't sound good." Maybe, and I did. I had lost 25 pounds, 30 pounds of muscle, because you can't keep it all the time. It's like a
Right.
full-time job. So I said to myself, "Thank you, because this is how I make my living." So now I packed it back on, and yeah, I'm doing another movie in about 2 months.
Good.
Um, Keep hammering it out. I'm doing it with Alexander Nevsky,
Awesome.
and it's called Assault on Rio Bravo. It's going to be a western.
Love it.
Yeah, and Art Camacho is most
Yeah.
likely the fight stunt coordinator, second unit director, and a lot of bad guys going to be in there, a lot of fighting, a lot of shooting. So
So when you do a action scene, and I'll go back. I'll start with say No Retreat, No Surrender 2. You're
mhm.
working with Loren Avedon or Cynthia Rothrock, or you're going against Billy Blanks or Bolo Yeung. You're going against top athletes,
Yeah.
and obviously their disciplines are different in training. But how fun is that for you and challenging to be that person that has to fight these different people that on their own are legends like yourself?
Yeah. It's really interesting. I mean, when I was younger, I knew that I was just stronger, and I'm a track and field athlete, but I'm not a professional fighter like any of them.
Right.
I'm not world champion, none of it. So I thought, well, this would be interesting because I have such a speed and agility and power behind me. Would I ever have a shot at that in real life? Today, no. Ye- don't think so. Back then, more. So the other day, while I had nothing to do, I thought, why don't I start training martial arts again, and then challenge Billy Blanks or anybody in the business. Dolph Lundgren or whatever, and we do pay-per-view fight. See who could beat each other for real if this would not be a movie, and then get some people involved. Basically, wouldn't you, for instance, let's just say for argument's sake, right? You would have an opportunity to see Scott Adkins fight Jean-Claude Van Damme in a 3-round kickboxing match,
Right.
or any kind of rules. The whole world would pay $50 to watch this. I would, because I would want to know, in real life, would Jean-Claude have a shot against Scott Adkins? Would Matthias Hues be able to beat Dolph Lundgren? Would Billy Blanks beat Michael J. White?
Right.
Right. And so I had that in my brain, and I started training martial arts much more, and stretching and this and that. But there are certain limitations when you. Oh, I'm 62 soon, so I got injured a little bit faster, even though I have the same size. I got injured. Now I have to have a surgery real quick. So youth is a huge factor, and we were all very young when we were doing this. So each of us had their own advantages. So now that would be interesting for me now also to see. Let's measure up a little to see, who doesn't want to fight Steven Seagal or something,
or anyone. And it's interesting because going through your Instagram and stuff, you're one of the few of your contemporaries that this is not a slight against anyone else, but everyone else seems kind of. I'm trying to think. The people I'm friends with Kathy Long, I'm friends with Loren Avedon, I'm friends with Keith Cook, and so all you guys are very active with still training martial arts. But a lot of your contemporaries are. They just kind of, I don't want to come off as, because I'm friends with a lot of them, but they come off as very like, I've already done it. I don't want to maintain what I had before. Obviously, injuries and age is a factor, but you are just seeing you in the gym or putting the time in and stuff. It's like, it's kind of inspiring that you still haven't lost that urge or that drive to still maintain what you did before and push even further.
I think it's so important because I still want to do movies. I love movies so much, and I write scripts, and I'm just waiting for that one film, to come out with. And I feel we have a responsibility as an actor to be something for real. Not, like Scott Adkins. I love Scott Adkins, huge fan of him. So because he trains really hard and he's for real. Martin Ford, I see sweating it out, but he's still young. So he almost doesn't count,
He's a big guy.
He's above the grain. I mean, there's always that one guy who's like, okay, you above the grain, I can't compete against you. That's like outstanding, and good for him because he can play these roles. There's room for everybody, right? And then there's Scott Adkins, and then there's Martin Ford, and I'm kind of in the middle. So yeah, no, I believe give it all till you finished.
And I love that.
Yeah,
so in 2019, you release your book, Shirtless In Hollywood, which is amazing. Right. It gets into the seedy part of the industry, but like how you kind of navigate your life to where you are now. And was that something you've always wanted to get your kind of story on paper, or was there kind of like a fear or trepidation on your part of, I don't know if I'm out there like that?
Good question, because for one, it's not easy to write a book. I didn't realize how difficult it would be, and I found myself in Bali at one point, not doing anything. I said, I'm going to write my book, and I just write it. And I wrote 700 some pages in 6 months, and I wrote it all. I mean, we're talking about, I have stories that are out of this world. And my fiance at that time, she read the book and she said, "Where's the delete button?" And I said, "It's right there." So we deleted it because I wrote everything down that had happened. And when you live in Hollywood, it's out of this world, crazy. It's nobody's business in the end. It's like unbelievable. So she said, "Why don't you write it more like what was the outcome of all of it, more rather than every step of the way."
Learn about it, right? What'd you learn?
Right. I did literally every step of the way, and some of it is just really difficult because, trust me, you can't just arrive in Hollywood and be a movie star. that is a long way to go. And there are some situations that are so devastating to you and others and people you know, and they pull you down with it. It's too much. Uh, it's not for everyone. And I've seen, unfortunately, too much of shit down there to even recommend to become an actor. I wouldn't even recommend it.
My
Uh, you
right.
know,
My last question, it kind of encompasses everything. For someone that wants to get into the working out, whether it's lifting weights or CrossFit or just something to better their body, how important is making sure you eat right part of that lifestyle too? Because sometimes I find myself, I can do 200 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 20 minutes, let's go. But then I'd be like, I used to drink like Mountain Dew and soda, and the sugar was,
yeah,
and you wouldn't see like what you would get out of it. So how do you
yeah.
if how do you help someone who wants to live both lifestyles healthily, but also enjoy that beer, wine, and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's the best thing I've. So I'm an extremist, so I do everything a lot. Um, that is the dangerous thing. People that live on an extreme type of lifestyle, drink a lot, eat too much, do everything too much, and then you sometimes go blow out of proportion. I've seen myself. You have not seen it, but I've seen myself when I let myself go look like this, and suddenly I have a bit of a stomach because you know, and then but you have to just learn to pull yourself back when it's time to pull. So you have to have an eye for yourself. Oh, I just overstepped my border. Now I'm starting to get fat. I'm starting to get sloppy. I'm starting to itch a lot and stuff. I'm not feeling well. You have to see that right away. So currently, what I'm doing, and I think that works the best, you eat, if possible, every 3 hours, and you take a handful each time, handful of carbs, handful of vegetables, and handful of protein, and do that for a while. But enjoy your weekends. So let's just say, yeah, I really do. I have a glass of wine on the weekend, an ice cream, maybe a pizza, and by Monday I don't see it. But if I would have that Saturday and Sunday, I'll see it on Monday. It always comes on the third day. So sometimes I go get a Haagen-Dazs, but I don't just get one, I get two or three. And yeah, and then 2 days in a row, and I'm looking in the mirror, see, I don't see anything. Didn't do nothing to me. Boom. On Wednesday next week, you see it. So now I learned to just have one Haagen-Dazs because, the pint, just do one, or just have a glass of wine, but not three,
Right.
or Mountain Dew or whatever. One really important thing. Why is that? The only reason you end up doing something in life if you have a motive to do it. Meaning, so for me, it's easy. Oh, I want to do another movie. People see me in the gym every day. They all know who I am. I cannot afford for them to look at me as, oh, that used to be that guy. Now look at him. So when I go to the gym, I want the people to look at me and come up and say, "You're the guy I saw when I was 12 years old and you're scared of fire." So, wow, you're still big. That's what I want. So I have a motive. And my wife, she is 62. And she just entered the Swimsuit Illustrated 2021 competition.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's amazing. And she is always a model, but she's still a model. And she's right now in all the newspapers around the world, blah, blah, blah. So she too cannot let herself go because she has a motive. She wants to win that competition, or she wants to have a contract again, for whatever line. So that helps if you are professionally inclined or mentally, or I want to get that girl, whatever. I want to impress someone, or I
Right.
want to feel good. I'm tired of how I feel. Damn it, I don't want to feel like this anymore. But you got to have a motive. Without a motive, you can't make it in life, right?
That's you are very inspiring, Matthias. Very
Yeah.
this
Thanks,
has
John.
been a
But,
really awesome talk. And a lot of times when it comes to actors per se, if I reach out to them and I do a talk with them, sometimes I'm kind of like, man, like that's not the person I pictured And so for you though, it's weird because you always play the bad guy, but you come off as like you're a hero in real life, and so it's cool to
Thank you.
see that interesting economy of your life like that.
Thanks, John. Thanks for saying that. I totally appreciate it because a lot of times it's so weird because people don't know who I am, and yeah, you play bad guys. I'm not necessarily bad all the time. You know, it's just on the movies. You know, a lot of people are always scared of me. For instance, I'm now in Las Vegas. I'm in a new gym. People don't know me. And realized the first month or so, they all walk around me, and some come up, some don't, and eventually they all do. And they say, "Hey, you there? Come on, you there?" And then they warm up, but first they're scared because you have that persona. For me, the best thing ever, I couldn't believe it, that my agent said, "Oh, Hulk Hogan, you know, he always sees you at Gold's Gym, and he doesn't come up to you because, you know, you're so big." And I was like, "What? He's Hulk Hogan." But if you don't know someone, the facade and the movies, you actually think that's who they really are. But there's usually more to it, you know. I mean, I met so many big guys like Shag, you know, or just big people, Lila Zado, you know, people like that. They're so nice.
Now, I said it was the last question, but now I'm curious. And I come in peace with Dolph Lungren. He's a big guy too.
Oh yeah.
That's the first time I've actually seen him. Probably the only time where he goes against someone that he actually might get killed here. Like, so because he's not usually against a guy your size, and so that must have been really fun, testosterone-filled. Just because the action pieces of that were awesome.
Yeah, that was a fun time. It was a great time to work with Dolph. We weren't hanging out, that's for sure. He was on this world and I was in that world.
Yep.
But I mean, you have to understand, that was my first big movie, and he was Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV. He was so huge, so big, famous, and I mean, the first time I saw him before I did I Come in Peace, that was when he did Master of the Universe, and I just arrived in LA and I wanted to meet him, you know, and I waited in front of the door at that restaurant where I knew he would show up that night, and I wanted to ask him if I could do the movie with him, and then he came up in the limo with the bodyguards, a cigar, and I saw him getting out, and I thought, oh my God, this guy's godlike, you know, and he's way bigger than me, you know. I thought, no. But I still asked him, I said, hey, I'm new, I'm Matthias, can I be in your movie? And he wasn't so nice to me. He kind of like, it was my wake-up call, you know. He looked at me up and down and he said, maybe you can be my stand-in, you know. But then again, he looked at me again and he said, but I don't think you're big enough. You know, he kind of like did a number on me. But that was so fun because that motivated me to get bigger. And one day I said, I'm going to get that job. I didn't know I would fight him in the movie, but I just, you know, the next day I went to the real audition and I stood in line for hours with all the other big guys, you know, tall, big like me. And I said, I'm going to get this job no matter what, you know, I'm going to get my shot here in Hollywood. But I didn't get that role. But I got a phone call one day and I walk into the casting office, and the guy, the director, Greg Bexley, is a legend in Hollywood. He just did Action Jacksons with Carl Weather. He did all these TV series, you know, these action-driven TV series in the 90s, 80s, and Starsky and Hutch and whatnot, you know, A-Team. So I walk into the casting office and he says, you're the guy. And I said, what do you mean? He says, I'm doing a movie with Dolph Lundgren. And Dolph Lundgren, I cannot believe it. He turned down that role. I'm going to give you the role if you promise you're going to do all your stunts and you're going to do beyond and beyond what you think you can do. I'll give you that role, and it will be your movie, and it will not be Dolph's. And I'm like, Dolph Lundgren? Are you saying Dolph Lundgren? And he said, yes, and I'll give you his role because he doesn't want it. He wants to play the cop. I don't know why. It's written for him. You play it, and you become a star. And I thought, there it is. There's the answer. There it is. And I was so big. By then, I was trained out. I was on my peak in my life, you know. And I got that role, and I come to Texas, and we did the movie, you know.
I love it. Well, I want to I want to thank you for this, Matthias. And if someone wants to find you, you're obviously on Instagram. You're also on
Absolutely, yeah.
anything else like that? Do you Facebook and all that garbage? Or?
Facebook, Twitter sometimes.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, John, so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And you're really good at it. Thank you. I was looking forward to it. And
Awesome.
call me anytime, John.
I will. Thank you, Matthias.
Okay. All right, John.